Hi. We can all see the grifting of our money that's going on, not just by the orange man and his family, but by other members of the administration, favored corporations, tech bros and their affiliates, and even the odd foreign dictatorship. I'm using the tarot to ask about how this will turn out in the reasonably near future. I'm doing 5-card spreads to make the reading simpler. The first question for the tarot is, will he and his family get away with it, or will there be consequences? Current situation is the Six of Wands reversed. Lots of delay, fear of a victorious enemy. Check. He is freaking out, thinking that if the Dems take both houses, they might stop all his fun renovations, do endless investigations, impeach him again, and maybe this time be successful. The basis is the Two of Pentacles reversed, forced gaiety, inability to handle situations that are in opposition to each other, written messages. Okay, he's all, I don't care, it doesn't matter, they're the ones doing bad things, not me. And of course, he puts everything into social media posts, making a permanent record for future use in courts of law. The past is the Ten of Swords, sudden misfortunes but not violent death, ruin, pains, afflictions, the end of delusion. Interesting that this is in the past. It may mean that he's past his crisis point, or that he's waking up just a little bit to the opposition forces on his tail. Perhaps all that booing at the garden got through to his psyche. Immediate future is the Five of Swords reversed, weakness, chance of loss and defeat, stormy weather ahead. If this takes us all the way to November, it may mean that the Dems at least take the House, and that means all those DC beautification projects will come to a screeching halt. I think he'll have a very rough next few months while he waits for the results of the midterm elections. Outcome is the Sun, attainment and material happiness and liberation. Well, shoot, sorry to say, according to these cards, he will get away with all the money he's grifted or conned, and why he's able to do so is an open question. Personally, I've always thought that when the wolf was finally at the door, so to speak, he'd escape in his private jet to someplace without an extradition treaty. Secondly, will all the rest of them get away with it, or will there be consequences for any of them? Current situation, Nine of Wands, prepared to defend oneself and strengthen reserve. I think this means that those people know that robbing the citizens of the country blind has to be a rapid rolling attack, and they will have made contingency plans for ways to hold on to what they've grifted. The basis is the Ace of Cups reversed, instability and overturning of the present state of things. This card's meaning probably points to the instability that the country has been going through because of the progress of the planet Pluto, which has recently moved from Capricorn, where it's spent a bit over 15 years digging out the flaws in our government and other institutions. Obviously, we've become aware of a lot of systemic flaws in the basic system, and these guys, led by the Project 2025 people, had been planning this attack carefully for years, taking advantage of those flaws to advance their belief that only rich white guys need apply to receive the benefits of a constitutional republic, which is what we are. The past is the Ace of Swords, great force brought to bear, everything taken to excess, conquest, triumph of power. This card tells me that while they're still moving as fast as they can to achieve all their goals, the thrust of their big power play is done. The immediate future is the Ace of Pentacles, perfect attainment, gold, prosperity, wealth. So they're obviously going to keep breaking it in for the time being. Outcome, the Emperor, kingship, government, leadership, control of the masses. Oh, I don't like the look of this either. It looks very much like, even if the orange man is no longer in charge, the rest of the administration will continue the grift. They'll just hide what they're doing better. The tech bros and billionaires have planned for the pushback from the people and will be able to use the time they have to cement their power and wealth by running off with it to some other country, most likely. These two readings worry me a lot, so I'm going to ask a third question, and that is, will the U.S. survive this takeover attempt and begin to reestablish a government of, by, and for the people within the next 5 years? Current situation is a Five of Swords reversed, weakness, chance of loss and defeat, stormy weather ahead. So at the moment, we're not certain we can stop what essentially amounts to a coup. The basis is the Eight of Swords reversed. Too much power may lead to obstacles, disaster, and tyranny. Boy, how accurate can you get? The Pass, Nine of Wands reversed, obstacles, adversity, delay. The courts take forever, not to mention the Supremes aren't exactly making things better for regular folks. Well, the good news is this card represents the past. Immediate future, strength reversed. The abuse of power, the domination of the material, and discord. Well, the immediate future looks to be more of what's happening at the moment without much amendment. The outcome is judgment reversed. Separation and disillusionment, weakness, physical health must be watched, and possible loss of worldly goods. Although this is not a happy ending card, I think it is realistic in the sense that just changing what party runs things isn't going to ultimately solve the country's problems. It looks like we will go through an unspecified period of time in which we all have to come to terms with the polarization that has taken over the national mood, collectively figure out the basic issues and address them in a way that might make for a reset. In a recent tree oracle card reading called Preparation for Uncertain Times, the trees indicated that there could be some civil unrest ahead. This tarot reading seems to point in the same direction, although neither reading pointed to full-scale armed conflict. At any rate, I think the message here is, again, keep your eyes open, be aware, be prepared for the worst. Personally, I would think that as long as we do not face the original flaws of the Constitution by creating systems that treat all men and all women as equals under the law and in our hearts, we will just come back to this place again. I'm not an expert in astrology, but the movement of Pluto is very important at this time. We as a country experienced our Pluto return in February of 2022. Pluto is the planet of transformation, hidden power, and rebirth. At that time, still in Capricorn, the planet was actively dismantling outdated systems of government, economics, and national power. And as we hadn't really changed anything completely since 1776, you can understand that. Now, Pluto is fully into the sign of Aquarius. This happened officially in November of 2024, so it makes sense that the Orange Man was the catalyst for the chain of events that finalized our government's deconstruction. However, now Aquarius is shifting power towards the people. We will be able to take power back from centralized government by working within our communities. The courts are winning cases and the people are rising up. They're protesting, they're showing up at town hall meetings and pressuring their local governments to do things like not allow ICE detention centers, to not allow those huge water and power guzzling AI data centers in their townships. The sleeping giant, the populace, has awakened. The move of Pluto through Aquarius will be a 20-year process, and we're only a few years into it. Since my question involved a 5-year time frame, it looks like it will take longer than that. It's even possible that the incredible effort being made by the current administration will be successful in suppressing the national vote so much that they win a second term. Let's hope that isn't what happens, but don't kid yourself. That is what they're trying to accomplish. However, I think that's the worst case scenario, and that the progress of Pluto in Aquarius will give more power to the people to change the course of events. My personal hope is that our original sins will be washed away by a rebirth of society that truly embraces the words of our Constitution that claims all of us are created equal. This is LauraJthe.Treetalker. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.